Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope everybody's good out there, and that you're all having a great day. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook. There's a link in the description below the video. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. We're getting a lot of alarm bells being rung over the last couple of days. If anyone has managed to escape, avoid any of the news, the economy, and everything else around it looks like poo-poo. Yeah, and it has for a while. There's a gigantic economic slowdown around the world. China is still, really years later, trying to figure out what the answer is after the collapse of Evergrande and their ambitious real estate market. The current topics that keep popping up are basically the tariffs in the United States that have been created, what new ones might arise in the future, the ones that are going live, and all the numbers for them. And then on top of that, the discussion about debt is also very, it's quite prominent. If you follow more traditional asset news, crypto news typically follows crypto news. Got it. But a larger portion of traditional financial news has to do with debt levels, personal debt levels of countries. And these things will never be paid back. This is a really weird misconception. There's only two ways that things can actually go for those of you who do not know. The only way that this can go is that every country comes together. This isn't a joke. Every country comes together and has a long discussion, and they all realize that they're never going to pay off their debt. And they basically let every other country off the hook, and they go, cool, we'll lower the levels back to zero. No more debt ever again. The problem is that the entire system runs on debt. Not some of it, all of it. And there's constantly an effort made by institutions and banks and countries to keep people in debt for as long as possible. The idea being, why would I want $100 from you today when I could have $1 every month from you for the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years? So I thought this was actually interesting, and this is also one I'm very shocked because it wasn't popular news. Anytime that something like this happens or with the people involved, it always ends up being this miraculously talked about kind of thing. And this is kind of like old crypto mantra kind of going on. I know it's not the most exciting topic, and I think it's really a shame. And everyone lives their life differently. Everyone lives their life in the only way that they kind of know how. But it's weird that I find it odd that people within crypto have no real interest in learning about economics or learning about money or learning about how money is made, what inflation is. Ask some of your friends if they know what inflation is. They'll know because, oh yeah, things go up in the supermarket, but people don't know what it is or why it's caused by, printing money, why they can print money at will, and all those other kinds of things. Years ago, when I first got into crypto, at the forefront, the cornerstone, actually it was every single corner of the news constantly revolved around debt. And it was this idea of if debt levels continued to rise, Bitcoin would rise. If countries continued to print money infinitely, this is what we saw Michael Saylor say last year or the year before, that people were like, what are you talking about? I know he's a bit eccentric, but sometimes he does make sense, where he was saying that Bitcoin could essentially go up forever. The idea being if you continuously print money that can then be pushed into Bitcoin, logically at that point, for the next 115 years, Bitcoin's price would then continue going up higher and higher. The world is in a very odd position right now where countries aren't going to forgive each other. Countries aren't going to stop using debt. Banks are the only reason why rich people and banks and all these other things are so powerful and have so much money is because they live off of debt. Have you ever watched any of those like real estate shows where they show like, hey, they just built a new building. Each of these apartments is like 4.5 million. And they're showing the penthouse, and the penthouse is like 83 million, and no one wants it because it looks kind of ugly, but no one wants to admit it, but it has like floor to ceiling windows, like that kind of thing. Your assumption is normally that the person who built that building or the consortium of people who came together, put their money into a pile, created Captain Planet, made the building, and now they're basically just trying to sell it. No, what they actually did was they took a several hundred million, if not billions of dollars worth of debt out from multiple different sources. They pooled all the debt together. They built the building, and now their desperation, you've seen on these shows where they're like, man, can we got to get a sale. It's because like they basically owe the bank an enormous amount of money, like per month. They have to pay this money back. So they need to sell as many apartments as possible because they're working off of debt. That was the reason why Evergrande and many other companies end up failing. These people were building cities. They were building not a building. They were building entire cities, assuming that if we build it, they will come. So after building their 47th city and no one was buying any of these apartments, and like if you get a chance to look at China's ghost cities, you'll find documentaries from like 10 years ago. It was very telling of what was going to happen. So this is kind of a blast from the past. This is recent, but it's also like this idea, and I was kind of shocked to hear him say it. And there's always some kind of an ulterior motive behind the scenes. I think a lot of people assume that these wealthy people are very altruistic when they're not at all. They're in it for themselves. But I think a lot of times it is necessary to hear what they have to say, irrespective of knowing that they are in it mainly just for themselves. It's kind of like, if those of you who weren't here, at the middle or near the end of 2023, there was like a yearly report from BlackRock to their customers and the people who they work with. And they said that this is when they were talking about the allocation of like 60, 70, 80% of one's portfolio into Bitcoin. And I remember in the video, I was like, you don't do that. No one allocates that much into an asset. And that's subsequently, it took 14 months for then Bitcoin to rise from $15,000 to $109,000 US. So the numbers, when you look back and it made sense. They were telling all these rich people, yeah, buy up as much as you possibly can. Don't forget the words, welcome to the bull run, buy everything you can. Like these are the kinds of moments. So anyway, the point usually being a lot of people, especially in crypto, think that rich people kind of have their best interest in mind, when it's like, no, like the rich people are trying to make themselves richer. And we're basically like figuring out where the money is going and then piggybacking on it and trying to make money for ourselves. In the news today, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says the U.S. risks losing its reserve currency status to Bitcoin if it fails to curb debt and deficits. This isn't anything like Larry Fink isn't a genius in this aspect where we're like, oh my gosh, this is the first time that anyone has ever said anything like that ever. The reason why we have Bitcoin is because of U.S. debt. It's because of the debt system, and it's because of the collapse of the system in 2008 and 2009. The U.S. dollar has been in decline since 1971. When you take anything off of a standard that kind of pegs it to something, such as the gold standard, you're going to have a downward movement in value. That's why when we were talking about, and it's a shame that no one cares. Okay, for the 4 or 5 of you who are like, I care, I get it, but like everyone else doesn't literally care about any of this, anything that's happening in the world, on the planet. No one cares. No one's paying attention to anything that's happening with money, with the world. And then these are the same exact people. There's a person who I know, and I've been trying to get him into investing for literally the last 10 years. And I ran into him recently. We were hanging out, and I found out he has like no money, like not like not a stash somewhere. Like he's broke. He's broke. Like take a piggy bank, smash it. That's what he has nothing. And I sat there and I was like, I went over all of this with you. Like he buys all this like such weird, frivolous things that don't matter, that won't mean anything, that mean nothing now. They won't mean anything to him in the future, that he won't benefit from at all. And there's just no sense of like danger. It's literally just like, well, this is just the way that life is. I don't mind working at the supermarket. I don't mind getting up early. I don't mind stacking boxes. Like, this is just the way that life is meant to be for me. And it's like, what are you talking about? So it's the same exact thing with crypto. I understand. Listen, when I bring you this kind of news, it's meant to bring awareness. I'm not telling you this because I'm expecting you to go empty your bank account or to like literally make sure that you put every single dime and penny into Bitcoin and XRP and Ethereum. Like, I get it. Like, you know, money isn't infinite for everyone. But it's meant to like literally open your eyes to where these things. We went from literally BlackRock talking about they were thinking of getting into the market. Bitcoin's at $15,000. It goes to $109,000 per coin. These people own 500,000 Bitcoin just from their ETF, and people going, well, Bitcoin's price is just going sideways. And it's mentally detrimental to like people who are in the space, who are outside the space, who aren't paying attention. When Bitcoin goes over $1 million, it's going to cause this really weird frenzy. I've seen it before. I'll tell you this right now. I remember starting the channel, getting into the market and be like, okay, cool. I'm going to put $50 here, $100 here, $100 here, like trying my best to like navigate everything back in 2016. And I remember I was posting, and I remember I was telling friends and family, I was like, I found this new thing. Don't throw a whole bunch of money into it, but you know, let's put some money into it and see where it actually ends up going. And then I remember, this isn't a joke, I remember when Bitcoin went to $20,000, and I remember I posted it online so my friends and family could see, like personal friends and family. And I remember everyone was messaging me, and somebody said something, it still sits with me. Somebody said, why didn't you tell me? I would have totally put $1,000 into that. And I scrolled up to the message where I told them to put money into it a year before, and I screenshotted it and then sent it to them. And they were like, oh, I didn't see that message. And I was like, no, you did. You just thought I was crazy. You just refused to look any deeper or further. How many people I've told to get into art? Years, I'm not even joking. Telling people to get into the art market, to buy art, like specifically what to buy, because the art market's not that difficult. If anyone tells you that, they're completely lying to you. And every time that someone says like, buy what you love, okay, cool, that sounds great for you. But if you're trying to actually make money on like long-term holds and purchases, or trying to like pass them down, it is abundantly clear which artists that you like pick up, that you buy, that you hold on to, because they're going to continue to appreciate. It's not a real coin flip. It's literally just as super obvious as possible. Telling people, put 50 into this, put 100 into this. No, art? I don't know, man. That sounds risky. I'm like, I'm not telling you to put 5,000-10,000 into it. Put 100 every single month. I see you buying crap that you are posting on Instagram all the time. Use that 100 for something else. Some of the stuff that I've bought before, I mean, literal like Banksy posters from 2009, 2010, 2011 that you could originally get for $5, not even a joke. I was buying them from POW, which was the original website that was selling all this like Banksy stuff. These things go for $500, $600, $700. Like it's not rocket science. It's not brain science. It's literally, if you hear these people talking about something over and over, start paying attention to it. And me constantly telling people, and the frustration of seeing, I'm not frustrated in seeing my views go down on this channel because I'm like, oh, I want more views. It's because I know that people are actively making sure that they miss out. This happens every single cycle. Every single cycle. This isn't like this is the first time that this is all taking place. This happens every single cycle, guys. Prices go down by 3, 4, 5%. People lose. Heaven forbid, should we go down by 20%? Dry. There's no one in the stadium. No one wants to be there. No one wants to buy. No one wants to talk about it. But the moment we hear, us, me and you, that there's accumulation happening over the course of a 3, 4, 5, 6 month period, we know what's going on. Prices begin to go back up. Guess who re-enters the market? And it's always the same exact people who are there for they are fair weather and investors. If there's a drop of rain, these people are like, you don't want to make money. You don't want to make long-term money. You're not trying to make generational wealth. You want right now money. You want the big bucks today. and you have no idea how to invest it after. We went over that, but this was a couple of weeks ago. I was saying, like, how many of you actually have a plan? I was asking people on Twitter, and I was like so happy that I saw people being like real estate, farmland, rental properties. You wouldn't believe. Ask your friends if you get a chance. Ask your friends. Someone just handed you $3 million. What do you do with it? The answers you're going to get is, I'm going to buy a big house that's probably like $1 million. I'm going to buy 1 or 2 cars. Actually, I'm going to buy 4 cars. 2 for me, 2 for my girlfriend. I'm going to give $500,000 to this family member. I'm going to give so-and-so, and then I'm just going to live my life. And you go through the numbers and you're like, you spend all that money. There's nothing left. No one knows, like, people. It's enough to drive me completely insane. We know that the US dollar is not doing well. We know that the US dollar is going to collapse. We know it's literally just a matter of time because the UN and other countries cannot get their debt under control. Hearing for me years ago that BlackRock was in this space, and this kind of mental confusion that we had where people in crypto didn't believe or understand that BlackRock was buying Bitcoin for themselves as well. People only assumed that it was just going into the ETF. And I'm like, what world are you living in where you think that these people who have trillions of dollars in assets under management are just buying it for it just doesn't make any sense. And then upon hearing Larry Fink literally say out loud, the US dollar is going to lose its reserve currency status to Bitcoin, the thing that they've been buying billions of dollars of, that all the ETFs are trying to buy as much as they possibly can, that MicroStrategy is on their way to having 1 million of. All these rich people in the news all the time. Remember all these billionaires and millionaires around the world? We used to have all these articles years ago. Always a new billionaire, like every 2 weeks. This person was talking crap about crypto for years, and out of nowhere they were like, yeah, Bitcoin's amazing. You know, we're going to start mining it. I think Bitcoin's the future. And I was like, they were lying to you. What did you not get about that the entire time? You constantly need public companies to come out and openly say we are buying Bitcoin. How many other companies who aren't public are constantly buying Bitcoin? You know that like there are major companies who aren't public. You know that IKEA is not public. A lot of people don't know that. There are a lot of major companies that are like, it's just within the family. They make enough money themselves that they don't need like actual like stock influence from the market. They have it all themselves. You know that the US dollar is not going to make it. And I don't know the time frame. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what date or when it's actually going to happen. The US dollar has lost 99% of its value to Bitcoin in 10 years. The US dollar has lost 99% of its value to Bitcoin in a decade. A decade. Not 5 decades. We're not in the year 2060. It's a decade. What do you think is going to happen over the course of the next decade? Why do you think we're constantly getting $1 million price predictions? Why do you think there's less and less Bitcoin on crypto exchanges? Why do you think I'm constantly talking about how much money is flowing into this market? Even every single time, historically, when we see prices dropping, what's the thing that always takes place? Whales buy the coins from the people who sold. It's mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And when I say this, I don't care if you don't believe me. I don't care if you whatever so-and-so. I don't care if you're a miserable person on Twitter who doesn't like me talking nice or saying good things about people. I sincerely hope that you actually pay attention. I sincerely hope that you keep the coins that you have. I hope that you are able to buy more, and I hope that you actually get rich. Because I know that a large portion of people listening to this right now, you think it's not going to be you. You're putting money into the market. You're going to cash out. You're going to buy frivolous things, and then you're going to wonder in 10 to 15 years why you have nothing. Have you ever seen those things where people win $85 million, $23 million, and then they have nothing after? Nothing, not a dollar to their names. You can find these videos on YouTube quite easily. It's not difficult to find them. Some of these people are working in corner stores. Some of them are sweeping and mopping up hospitals now. And this is this is after they bought themselves homes, multiple homes. People think you buy a home, well, you're cool, you're safe, you got an investment. How are you paying for the rest of that home? What other investments do you have to keep your wealth growing? There are a lot of people who don't know how to deal with money. They can't handle it. They can't invest. They don't want to learn how to invest. It means nothing to them. Remember I told you one of those episodes, we'll move on right after this. One of those episodes I told you where they were showing this, I think she won about 50 million, something like that. This woman didn't realize that she had to pay taxes on her winnings. So she bought, it was like a multi-million-dollar house. It was something nonsensical. It was her boyfriend who married her. He was her personal trainer. And he was, oh yeah, sure, let's get hitched. They got married. She took in I think 4 kids from her sister. I forgot what the circumstances was. She took in all these kids. It looked like Oprah's house. If you haven't seen Oprah's house, Google it. Oprah's house is literally so big. I think it's in different zip codes. I'm not even joking. It's just massively gargantuan. This woman bought this gigantic house. She bought a private jet, and this woman was broke before. She had nothing. And her first thought was let me go spend I think it was $8 million on a private jet that she only used a couple times. And then she found out that she had to pay taxes on her winnings. Guess what happened? Everything she bought was the equivalent of the amount of taxes that she had to pay. All of it was gone. I sat there and I was like, $8 million on a plane, on a private jet just for her and her boyfriend to go do nonsense. $8 million in real estate on the low to mid end is getting you around at least $50,000-$60,000 per month in rental income. And that's you paid those places off. The devastation that you would feel. Make a list right now of things to invest in. If you decide to take profits, if you decide to cash out, what are you planning on getting? How do you plan on keeping this train running? Are you going through all of this for nothing? The crypto market's crazy. You're trying to take profits and then in 2 years you have nothing. What was it all worth then? What was the point of it? Why are you actually here? You hear these people, you see them accumulating everything. I've been making videos on this for as long as I can possibly remember. There's not a lot of Bitcoin left. And the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges continue to drop and dwindle, and rich people are buying up all the Bitcoin. The guy who runs this $11 trillion company just said the US dollar looks like it might lose its status and Bitcoin might take its place. Remember years ago when I was mentioning all that, Bitcoin was 12,000, and I was like, how many of you don't own Bitcoin? And a lot of people in the comment section were like, I don't own any Bitcoin. Remember all the stuff that we keep seeing about all these meme coins collapsing and failing and being delisted, and they have no money, they have no blah, 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 and everyone keeps throwing money into meme coins. What are you doing? What are you doing with your money? It's bizarre, to say the literal least. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink has issued a stark warning in his 2025 annual letter to investors, saying that the United States risks losing its global reserve currency status to Bitcoin. He said if the U.S. does not get its debt under control, if the deficits keep ballooning, America risks losing that position to digital assets like Bitcoin, he wrote in his 2025 annual letter to investors. What do you think the investors who this was meant for are going to get out of Larry Fink writing in his annual letter that it looks like the US dollar's not going to do well and Bitcoin might take its place? I'll give it to you this way. Imagine if Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, had written his annual letter to investors. And he wrote, it looks like if the U.S. doesn't get its debt under control, if deficits keep ballooning, America might lose its position to the euro, to the yen, to the Mexican peso. Where do you think money would begin shifting? What if he said it looks like the US can't get itself under control? We are pivoting into Apple stock. We're going to get some Microsoft, and we're going to get some J&J. That's where our focus is going to lie, because it looks like the US can't get its debt under control. What do you think would happen to those stocks? Who do you think would pay attention? Well, yeah, we're in a very bizarre time across the board. It's not just within crypto, it's all of finance. The issue is going to be similar to everything else and life is a very fascinating thing when you realize I'll talk from my vantage point. When you try and help, when you get some kind of information, when you try and push people forward or help them in some sort of way, and then it's not when people don't listen, it's like they explicitly just kind of don't care. I can't tell you the amount of it's happened, and I want to give you a number around 4 or 5 times that I can remember off the top of my head. The first kinds of people who I tried to help when I realized what investing was and what assets were people who I grew up with. I grew up poor. So in my mind, I was like, I found a way to get us out of poverty. So I told family members, I told friends who I grew up with. The last 10 to 15 years have been eye-opening. I'll use eye-opening for me. About 4 or 5 times that I can remember, I've had conversations with some of these people. Some of these people figured out that I have YouTube channels, or they see me on social media because I'm always traveling and stuff like that. I'm hanging out with friends. For those, my life it took me 10, 15 years to build it. My life is great. I hang out with friends. I'm traveling all the time. I go to restaurants whenever I want. I have a very, I'm very lucky, and I'm very grateful for what I have. I get people who I tried to help before sending me messages. So someone sent me a message that said something like, you don't have to brag all the time. And I was like, what are they? And then I got it. They me posting photos and videos and eating at restaurants and going to places and going to Amsterdam and blah, 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 blah. To them was bragging, as opposed to me just living my life, the same exact life that I was trying to get them to also build. I've had someone ask me before. He claimed to be curious about all the investments that I told him about years ago and if they had worked out. And when I told him that they had worked out, what did he say to me? It was something along the lines of well, some people get all the luck. Like we can't all be that lucky. And I was like, it wasn't luck. It wasn't luck that I found crypto. It wasn't luck that I found art. I got tired of being anxious about money. I got tired of, not knowing where the money was going to come from. I'm like, how are these people doing it? How are rich people making money? Where is their money coming from? Then you learn about assets and liabilities. Cool. That's the first step. And then you go, what's a cash producing asset? What does that even mean? I can't squeeze a tree and make money from it. And you go, wait, you kind of can. You buy stocks and they have dividends. Cryptocurrencies come out that have passive income baked into it. That's passive income. If you have 1 Ether and it makes you passive income, what happens when you have 1,000 Ether? What happens when you have 1,000 of this stock? You learn about real estate, and I was like, I can't afford any gigantic pieces of real estate. If you missed the earlier parts of the channel, some of the first stuff I was buying was studios. I bought a studio. This was 2011, 2012. I bought a studio apartment in Budapest. It was $28,000 because it was all that I could afford, and it was still producing cash. You have to you build up. It takes time. I'm telling you, I've had so many, and it's not even that I look at these people in a different way, but I sit there and I'm like, I tried to help you. I didn't try once. I tried for years. I was sending you articles. I was sending you screenshots. I was messaging you all the time. I was like, hey, we can go sit somewhere and I can explain this to you up and down. And then I see that their lives aren't easy and they're only going to get worse. That's not a joke either, because they have no desire. It's this thing that they want to, some of them probably want to see me fail. It's not a joke. You'd be surprised how many friends don't want you to succeed. And then the other ones want to see me go forward in my journey and also fail. It's this kind of, there's never a, Dude, you were right 15 years ago. Can you please help me? You know how many times I've heard that? Zero. But people will look. It's kind of like, last point. If you're on Instagram, you know, like when you post a reel, like a story or whatever it's called, and you can see who's actually looking at the thing that you posted. It's very fascinating who's like constantly looking at all the time what you're doing. I have people who, when I go to restaurants and I'm always posting these videos, like I like posting about my life. I like looking back and seeing what I've done. These people haven't spoken to me in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I haven't heard a word from them. But you know who watches every single story that I post? Them. Every single one. It's insane. It's actually nuts how people like act and react to each other. It's completely, I'm telling you. Get it together. Get it together right now. If you plan on taking profit, what are you going to do? How are you going to build generational wealth? Don't just say investing. Like, what kind of land are you going to buy? What kind of apartments are you going to buy? Where? Do you know prices? Do you know anything besides like, yeah, I need this money from crypto? How many of you plan on buying a nice car? Red flag. The car's value goes down once you drive it off the lot. Remember I told you that story before? I remember being young and I remember I had an uncle who was really into cars. Really into cars. And I remember I seeing all the cars that he would love. And he was always talking. He wanted one so bad. And I remember getting older and seeing that same car in a movie or a TV show. Like it jogged this memory that like, if he had money, he wouldn't have invested. This is like the 90s, like the golden age of everything collapsing in value, being able to actually buy up stuff at cheap prices, like Apple stock at like 27 cents, like that kind of thing. He would have bought that car. 7 years later, he would have been embarrassed to drive that car because the car's old. It looks so outdated. Why don't you have a brand new flashy car? The same thing happens now. People keep buying these nice cars and it's like, you know that no one's going to want that car in a couple of years. It's not limited edition. It is made as many times as they see fit. Be smart with your money. Pay attention to where everything's going. Why is BlackRock always accumulating Bitcoin? Why are they always talking about Bitcoin? We had this 2 years ago. These people told investors to buy 70-80% of your portfolio into Bitcoin. Bitcoin did about an 8x. You want to still sit here and in 2 years, Bitcoin's at $600,000-$700,000 and go, well, you know, Bitcoin's trading sideways. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait for Bitcoin to drop by 15% before I buy some. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck to you. Well, not at all where I saw the video going at all. Like 0%. Like I'm not even half joking. Not even half where I saw it was going. But cool. Yeah, wonderful, amazing. The US dollar is basically done for, and I don't know who needed to hear that, but well, thank you all once again for watching. Hope you all have a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you, every single one of you, for watching, listening, liking, commenting on the video, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.